This day 1609, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today we are doing Yeridea Siman Shin Mem, Sifyud Beis to Sifyud Tes. Beis Hakol Mesim Mutal Likra B'Ofen Shlo Yiro Kol Ksher and all the people who die, you're allowed to rip the clothes in a manner that people will not see that he's ripping Kriya Vayoshe. You Lovish Amikton Shlo, you wear your outer jacket. Mana Begel Yon Shitzi B'Chov, the outer garment which go out to the street. Also instantly Likra, and which you don't have to rip. And also you have to be Fnin Tachas Amiktoren. You put your hand underneath the jacket. You rip in secrecy. I've other email the father, mother, also can't do this. You remove the outer garment, and you rip the inner garment in front of everybody on the outside. Can call Mason Rotso Korean, but you other Mason you want, you could rip with your hand. Let's grab a sakin if you want, you can rip with a knife. Another kid about with the other father mother, you have to rip with your hand. We must close the kriya if you can't begin ripping with the hand, it's going through his hem, it's hard. Korea mat b'sakin, you do a little with the knife, and you continue with your hand a tefach. Even though by ripping by hand ruins the garment more than with a knife, nevertheless, father, mother, ain't kriya be other tafka. There's no the kriya must be with the hand, but lobasakin now with a knife. No with any other, no with somebody else's hand. The bracket says sakin. Even with other mason where it's permitted with the knife, you nevertheless you have to cut yourself, not others. That seems to be the lotion of the Gemara and the poskim. You give my call mason shol karatech b'achashiva, and all the mason you can sew in a way which is not professional. The rip immediately after shiva, you can make a professional sewing after 30 days. But Shol Hain explains. Shol Hain Tfira built the Shava. Shol is where the sewing is uneven. V'ichui Tfira Yofa, and Tfira and Ichui is the mending is a good sewing. Which because I have received Zion and Sham. Avavim, but father mother Rak Shol Lachar Lamed. You can only do uneven sewing, and only even that is only after 30. You never properly mend. A woman can do improper mending, improper sewing, immediately even within Shiva, because of her honor. Because also, it's Nias, in other words. As long as you're not allowed to mend it even improperly, I feel or even to connect the two heads of the ripped area by a needle is also. There are places where the minhag is to be machmir, even other mesim, shloshim, not to do even improper mending within 30 days. But as if you're Rosh Kriya, which should include also not connecting the two heads of the rips with a needle. Is barred that which said you can mend properly after 30 days. Doesn't matter if it's a yontif happened before 30 days lapsed or not, so it's waited 30 days. Even though yontif negates the extent of 30 days, in terms of velus, in terms of kriya. But that is not the custom day. And we hold the garment about the rego cancels the veils altogether, coined up in all its matters. When it's also to mend properly, it's also to rip the kriya and to rip out to cut out the kriya and to sew in another piece there. Another mason you come to switch garments within 7 days. Machlib, you can switch from Korea. Bekish Machlib, you don't have to rip this garment which you just put on. Father, mother, in Balachlif, if you have to go change clothes, somewhere it's mutter. Machlib, you can switch, but for Korea, you have to tear all the garments you switch. Just as the same way you had to do Kriya when you were obligated to do it b'shas misa at the time of death. And so to all these garments you can never fully mend. Just like you do when the garments you rip at the time of death. That's on a weekday. But Shabbos machli in a Koran. Shabbos you the oven switch close and it doesn't rip. But the mason you can turn the rip to behind within 7 days. Also not by father and mother. The people that those wrote that old garments that it's known that he wore before his father died. You can wear them after 7 days without ripping them. It's a bach and ties. I don't know what the chiddush of that is. The whole Gemara lost a rock talk shiva. The whole Gemara only asked within 7 days. It's issue suspicion. The saying is wear a new garment, which he's not supposed to wear. Obviously, everybody can tell it's old. It's not clear what exactly the bach and ties are referring to. Tesvav, I'll call Mason, call him all the Mason. If you want to bare your shoulder, you can do so. If you want to bare your shoulder, you don't do so. But if your father, mother, you have to bare your shoulder. And that's how you go in front of the buyer, which bears the coffin, or the stretcher, which bears the body. Until the mace is buried. If it's a great person who's an Avelus, it's not appropriate for him to go with a revealed shoulder. He doesn't have to reveal shoulder. Akiva's story is that when Akiva's father died, the people bared their shoulder in front of him. Did not bear the shoulder. What does it mean to bear the shoulder? If you rip open your clothing until you can see the shoulder. Because it says, a person who's cholitz katef has to remove his arm on the top of his garment from the place where he ripped it to erase himself to show everybody the garment's ripped. Towards him is to be a tourist because the cholitz roll. You uncover your arm. When you remove your shoulder, outside the rip, so his arm with the shoulder are revealed. And the bracket says that for naught he argued against the Drisha. Anyway, back to the brackets. Omnam Rabbeinu Ramah B'Sof Sifu Yuzayin Kos Yeshua Nach Shabbos Banazeh Lo Nagu Lachotz Katev Klal. Ramah says that those who say today we don't do Cholitzos Katev at all. I feel Avimimo even the father mother Cheno Gimena. This is currently the custom. Akal Shalom Lefi Begadim Shalanu. According to the way our garments are made, Humanium knows it's almost impossible to perform unless you remove the entire garment. As known. Interesting way he puts it. All the deceased parents are mochel on this covered, which would be very awkward. And all other mason we didn't hear until after 30 days. Don't do kriya. Somebody doesn't have a garment at all. Also a t-shirt and pants. Or she knows say beggar chula he has a bar garment. Or she beggar is going in a beggar gamre. His going garments already completely ripped up. These diamond beggar and gets any of these people they get a beggar. Talk shiva within 7 days korah. They rip that garment they got. Shiva after 7 days ain't no kriya. They don't do kriya. They ain't kriya which has kriya is only at the time where you're heated up. My father, mother, you rip always. All the garments that you're wearing, at the time you hear of the death, I feel like Harshana, even if it's a year later, more than a year later. But 7 days, there's an account of their honor. But once you switch garments after that, you don't have to do kriya. I feel like because even after 7 days, when you change garments, you don't tear these new garments. Because time to see if you doubt. When you switch garments, it's only within the 7 days. Because came and certainly doesn't apply when you hear after 30 days. But if it's in 30 days, the status is like the day of death. Yutzai Kashem Shosla Chos Kara, just like not allowed to mend the rip. Shenu Misachev, it's a case where it's not supposed to be mended. Kachos Lapok Sada Elyon Shabeg Lamata, so you can turn the garment inside out and mend it. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Felix Shem Acher, if you sell somebody else, also Acher, Lachosa, that person who buys the garment may not mend it. So covered of emo, there's the honor of the father and mother, Shakara should be Shvilam, that the rip which is done for them, should never be mended. If you sell this garment, you have to tell this to the buyer. The Machro sold it without any stipulation, and you didn't tell him, also still the buyer still can't mend it. He saw the rip and understood what it's about, and he agreed to buy it. Even though he didn't know if the rip was on the father and mother, or another relative, which can be mended, he should have asked. Since he didn't ask, this obviously accepted the implicit stipulation. Therefore, you can ask him now. If he says on the other relative, which can be mended, then the bar can mend it. That's therefore he cancels garment to a guy. He's not going to listen to us. He's going to mend it. Even though you're not allowed to mend it, I was not allowed to cut around the rip and toss it. Put there another piece. After 12 months, these things, it's mutter in this manner. It's not sure in which manner. I guess maybe the buyer's allowed to do it. Yeah, after 12 months, it sounds like after 12 months, the buyer's allowed to fix it. So what's the difference between a kriya and father and mother and other relatives? The nekvan is brought to we learn the shir kriya tefach. The shir kriya is the tefach. Feeling like we learn it in Shmuel, like it says in Shmuel. Vaychazek David b'vgadav. David held on to his garments, and he rent them. And there's no holding on to something. That's the tefach. In Korah Mace. If you did kriya on a mace, somebody, another mace died. Upon who you do kriya, so kriya, and you need to add on to that kriya. Shiva mace sheni. If after Shiva the second person died, most of it can add to the first rip. Koshu, even a minute amount, yotzer. But Shiva said within Shiva, it's only called tefach la'alam as a kriya. You have to rip a tefach beyond the original kriya. Of his father and mother died after the first death. I feel amazed. They died after 7 days. You have to rip until you feel your heart. Klamar means you have to start a whole new rip. Here's the common repetitim is bill common similar. These will be clarified later on. These halachas. There are obligations to do kriya on mason which are not your relatives, but relatives of relatives. Where it says you have to mourn in front of your relatives on their relatives. So to have to kriya in front of your relatives and their relatives. There's not a Torah law. That's the custom days of Chachmei Gemara. Havachshavei nogin kain, but now it's not the custom. Lo b'kriya lo avelos, not by ripping and not by avelos. Parasham is going to clarify later on. Amid Gemara, according to the law of the Gemara, Hishmeis ben beno, if a grandson died, or achi beno, or his son's brother, such as when you divorced your wife and niseis la'ach and she married somebody else, v'yolda and she gave birth, or in beno. Ein beno, or it's the mother of his son. For Girsha, he divorced him. Koshkosavnu, Chayv l'kovenei beno. He has to kriya in front of his son. In the nation, you have to rip on your. According to the Din Gemara, we don't do it anymore. Rip on your father-in-law, mother-in-law, in front of your wife. Not on her other relatives. The honor of his father-in-law, mother-in-law is different. She rips for her father-in-law, mother-in-law, in front of her husband, and not for his own relatives. This we clarify later on. As I said, we don't do this in our day and age.